Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, this is Allie with Find Your Joy, and today I'm excited to have Jeff Klein as a guest. Jeff is a speaker, a trainer, a mentor. I think you've pretty much done it all, from business training to working in the motion picture industry. And Jeff, hi, how are you today?
Hey, Allie, I'm great. I'm really glad to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here. So you're looking over your CV or your experience levels of so many different things. Tell me a little bit about how you found your way through all of that.
Well, I say that my life is a series of fortunate accidents.
Hmm.
Some of it was, engineered. I intentionally wanted to be in the film business, so I got a theater degree, which is adjacent to that. And
Oh,
I went on to, that led me to work on movies and TV shows here in Dallas.
oh,
And
okay.
the convergence to get on my first movie was one of those fortunate accidents. I was managing a Radio Shack as my
Okay.
job,
Right.
and one of my I had stepped out of the film industry for about a year to save up a bunch of money and go to film school. And a buddy of mine called me and asked me if I could work on a music video, and I did. And that was actually Hippie Hippie Shake from the movie Cocktail.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
And so I did that music video, and then one of my friends working on that crew had to drop something off at an office in the building we were at, and it turned out to be the office for Born on the 4th of July, and they were in pre-production. And I introduced myself. I asked if they were, if they were done hiring, and they were not. So I gave them my information, and a couple of days later, I got a phone call to come in and do an interview.
Okay.
to sweep the warehouse. The interview was to become the guy who managed the prop warehouse.
Okay.
Now, it was the same day as the Radio Shack district manager meeting. So I was wearing a 3-piece suit. And in order to do all the things I needed to do, didn't have time to change. So I showed up for an interview for a job to sweep floors in a 3-piece suit.
Okay.
And they hired me.
Yes, they did.
And so I told the district manager that the inventory that weekend would be my last one. And I had gotten my dream job finally, working on a motion picture. Not just any motion picture, a motion picture with Tom Cruise, directed by Oliver
Yes. Oh
Stone.
my goodness.
Big names. And for $50 a day, I swept the warehouse. I organized this giant building full of props and got to do research on things. Like the set decorators found out I had a comic book collection, so they sent me to a comic show to buy some comics from that time period, so we could put them in Tom's room as his high school room.
Oh my gosh.
And they sent me to buy some trading cards to put in his teenage room, his high school junior senior bedroom. And so I was also wound up shopping for things, and I made a good impression on the bosses, and so they actually sent me to work on the set for a week, which was talk about a dream come true.
Wow.
With Tom Cruise and all these other people. Amazing. I still laugh about how I worked with Rocky Ford, who is the head of NCIS on TV now, places people go. And in Born on the 4th of July, he was Tom's orderly. So, and I certainly found joy there, Allie. That was my days were a minimum of 13 hours, and I was exhausted for 3 months, but I loved every minute of it.
That's amazing. You know what I love about this too is that you showed up, and you'd already have a degree in theater, was it? And you were going through these other
right.
things. And I can think of many people who might not have jumped at that opportunity because it was the job for sweeping the floor.
Right.
Right. I mean, but you saw the jewel in that, right? You were a person who said, that's where I want to be. I'm going to sweep floors until forever,
Right.
or until I do something else.
Well, and here's the thing. Until that point, I was a production assistant,
Wow.
which every department in the movie business has. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted my specialty to be. And I wound up taking on art department and props as my livelihood in the film business, and did that for the next 15 years and worked my way up to prop master and art director, which are the two department head titles in that department.
Amazing. And I love that it started with sweeping the floor, because I can just think of so many people who would have thought, oh, well, we think sometimes that we're, a little bit better than something, or we're going to hold out for something better. But you showed up,
especially coming from a job where I was managing people.
Exactly.
And I had just a few months before won manager of the month twice in a row. Because I was good at retail.
They had the best floor sweepers.
It wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
But you recognized it as a path, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. So from there, I'm gonna be this will be a 13-hour interview, because I'm gonna be, oh my gosh. Okay. So then, so now from there, so you started out as sweeping, and all of a sudden now you're in procurement, and you're doing things like that. Now, where did you go from there? Because you said it's 4 months.
As I said, I worked my way up, not in movies, because it was too much. Go away for 3 months and things like that. And I wanted to do that for a little while, but it never really clicked for me. So I wound up doing a lot of TV commercials, a lot of corporate videos, and being successful as an art director for like Boy Scouts of America and EDS and Frito-Lay and ththings like that. And I built, tell you what, Allie, I built a lot of chip displays for Frito-Lay. Because we did.
Doesn't like Frito-Lay.
I did almost all of the videos for the drivers, for the training videos for the guys who drive the chips and the Pepsis around to the delivery. And so that was a big part of what I did for those 5-10 years in there. And during that time, I volunteered for the Film Association. And I became I was a board member for the Film Association. And then my sort of penultimate job was on Wishbone the Dog, the TV show on PBS. There's Wishbone right over my shoulder there, this shoulder. There's Wishbone the Dog.
Yes. That's awesome.
Teaching kids about great books.
Oh my gosh.
Then I started to exit the business, and I went to work for the association. Not because I knew what I was doing, but because I knew I knew what I was doing at the office. I didn't know association management was a profession.
Oh, okay. And so describe what that is exactly.
Well,
for those of us like me who don't know.
Sure. Well, there's associations for just about every profession. There's the CPA is an association, the National Speakers Association, the Project Managers Association. There's Mensa is an association. The Bowling Proprietors of America is an association.
Right.
The Oil Change Association. These are all groups that are headquartered in Dallas, by the way. Even though they're national and international, right? And so I became the executive director of the Texas Film Association, which has since changed names, but and I wound up going to you ready for this? The Association of Associations meetings. This was an association of people who work in association management.
Whoa. So now we have all your management experience.
Right.
Is all these, I love how things come in. People think, oh, I'm never going to use that again. But you used your theater degree, and you used your experience from Radio Shack, and
Yeah.
and
And I
then
wound up
working
doing
on a
some,
set.
yeah, wound up doing some lobbying in Austin for the industry,
Oh
because
my
that's
goodness.
one of the things associations do. Associations do two or three main things. They lobby their state and national legislatures.
Right.
They train people and provide some of them provide certifications like CPA or CSP or PMI, those kind
Right.
of things. And then they publish they publish a directory. Our main business was publishing directory of all the crew people in Texas for
Wow.
people
Okay.
coming from outside the state. They also
Right.
do, a lot of associations used to do magazines, and now they're all pretty much virtual. But anyway, so association management, wonderful time, really fun 3 years. But that was another place where they were never going to be able to give me what I wanted as an ultimate, income and to
Okay.
make a living.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I took a job with one of the members of the association, which is how I got into doing film and helping do film and video production for the Texas Rangers baseball club and for the Dallas Stars hockey.
Wow. And so it's interesting to me, I'm just guessing that back in your post-secondary days, and then working as a manager at Radio Shack, did you have a dream to get way off to there, or was it something that was a step at a time and you started to realize what you wanted more as it happened? How did that unfold?
Well, for the first part of my life, the dream was to make movies.
Right.
And then
Okay.
I started doing that, and my dream was just to keep doing that and work my way up the food chain. And I did that.
Wow.
I was one of two prop masters on Wishbone, and it was a big hit. And
Yeah.
and I was getting to a point where carrying furniture and things like that wasn't appealing as a everyday job.
Right. Exactly. Because there's that part of it that is required that,
Right. And so I went into the after the association, I was a director of marketing for a couple of businesses, and one with the sports association, the sports Southwest Sports Group. And it was my job to get other people to buy our production. We worked with Dallas Rapid Transit and some other companies. So I was in sales, outside sales.
Right.
But
It's
just in a
amazing
glamorous way.
Yeah, but all these different things. I mean, your knowledge of the film industry from your post-secondary education to sweeping the floors to procurement to sales to props.
Right.
Like it's this thing that just started, because often when people talk about, when we think about somebody who wants to be in movies, they often want to be, well, everybody wants to be the important person, right?
They either want to be the star or the director, right?
That's right. Everybody kind of wants to go there. And of course, it takes so many people, but the people who are doing the jobs like you do, who made that such an amazing thing, it's just interesting to me. Like, you would be the go-to guy if anybody wants to make a video, absolutely every little step along the way that, even an AD or something might not, because you did all of those things. That's really fascinating to me.
Well, and I never got into the technical crafts, like, but I did wind up shooting video and editing video next. That came after being the director of marketing for a couple of businesses. I was out on the street again, and I had to decide if I mentioned before I went to Radio Shack to save up for film school, but after getting on Born on the 4th of July, I decided I didn't need to spend 3 more years in school. I just needed to do on-the-job training.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And then when I came out of 2001, I was on the street again, and I had a choice of whether I wanted to be an employee or wanted to be a self-employed.
Right.
And so it was I was gonna start a business or go get my MBA. And once again, I decided not to go back to school for 3 years.
Right.
And I started Klein Creative Advertising, where I wound up shooting video, editing video, and all those things because my budgets were so small that I had to do it all myself.
Right. But you,
So I knew
naturally you
about it.
learn.
I knew enough to be dangerous, and I also knew enough to hire somebody else to do the lighting.
Oh, right.
and when I could hire, I did hire several times. I hired somebody to film to be the camera guy.
Right.
But I still did a lot of editing, which is editing is a skill. It's a learned skill, and I will never tell anybody. I would never claim to be an editor.
Okay.
I edited because I had a choice of spending money hiring an editor or paying my rent with the money that I would have had to hire an editor with. And so out of necessity, I learned how to be a competent editor.
Wow.
And of course, now everybody's editing, and they're editing on their phones and all that other stuff.
Well, now there's exactly my phone. I mean, I'm not that I know how to do it, but I mean, I know that my phone, I can make a skookum little video on that, and I could make it pretty fancy.
Yeah. And just because it's easy doesn't mean they're as good as a professional.
It absolutely does not. And that's the thing. And having the eye and knowing exactly what should be where and what shouldn't.
Yeah. And I would never claim to be as good as a professionally trained editor, but the stuff I edited worked for what it was and what we needed it to be.
Right. Exactly. Wow. So now we've covered, you've done the sweeping and you've done the procurement and you've done the editing and filming as much as you could, and you did the sales, the marketing sales. What else have we done in here?
Well,
am I missing anything?
The Klein Creative Advertising led to speaking and teaching networking. Advertising led to teaching the elevator pitch.
Okay.
And teaching the elevator pitch led to speaking.
Wow.
So became an expert at the networking, and in the process of becoming an expert doing that, I became an expert in speaking to get business. Wow. And what I do now is I still teach the elevator pitch and networking, and I have networking classes, and I'll leave you the link to share if people want some free networking stuff. I got some goodies on jeffkleinspeaker.com/education. And then most of my time is spent speaking, teaching other speakers, and booking speakers. And that's speakercoop.com, where anybody can go and find a speaker for their next event.
Wow. So when is there certain types of things that say you as a speaker? What is there? I mean, I can see from your vast experience that there could be many things that you could be dropped into someplace and you could speak on that.
Yeah,
but
I try to stay in my two lanes on that, Allie. I speak on business networking and I speak on speaking. Okay. And I'm a great MC.
Okay. So all right. So, and now how long have you been doing your speaking and mentoring?
So I started teaching the elevator pitch in 2004. So wow. 18 years.
Yes.
And then from 2006 to 2009, I spoke about 300 times and became an expert at that. And so starting in 2010, I closed the ad agency, turned speakercoop.com into my business, and haven't looked back.
That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about the elevator. I mean, we all hear about it and the elevator thing. So because I'm thinking a lot of people, I'm always wondering how exactly, if someone's listening, what's going to best serve them. So I'm thinking if someone's trying to get for whatever it is that they're looking for, a listener here, having your elevator talk, which you can explain a bit more exactly how that is, your 30-second or 1 minute who I am and what I have to offer you. So how do you go about teaching without giving your whole course away? Of course,
no, I get it. I understand where you're going. So there's three kinds of elevator pitches. One is the formal elevator pitch that you do at a Chamber of Commerce meeting or a business networking meeting, and and it's one of the things that people in the holistic industries really struggle with. massage therapists, chiropractors, they struggle with how to tell people what they do in 30 seconds.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the one I'm a specialist in.
Oh,
And the result you want from that 30-second commercial is a referral or an introduction at the end of that 30-second commercial.
beautiful.
And
Okay.
so I teach that. The second kind of commercial is actually in an elevator, and the result you want is to get the business card of the other person you're talking to before they leave the elevator. And the third one is the elevator pitch for raising capital for a business. And while I've helped a few people with that, I try not to spend too much time in that lane because it's way high pressure and not nearly as much fun.
Right, right. Well, I like when the whole thing around the elevator talk is, I get it, because most of us, it's the same I get it when someone asks you to write a bio. Most of us are, I've, been an author in a co-author in a few books and wrote my own book. And then I go to do something else and people ask me for a bio, and I'm telling you, I'm like a deer in the headlights. All of a sudden I forget everything I do.
Right.
What is it that I do? Right. And so learning how to pull out the gems, all the nuggets, that's a really valuable skill.
Yeah. Well, and the bio, you should sit down and write a couple of bios or work with a marketing person to help you write like a 200-word bio and a 500-word bio.
Yes.
And then they're done and you don't have to worry about them anymore. Oh, and a 50-word bio.
That could be your elevator talk.
Yeah.
Your 50-word bio is basically your elevator speech.
Right. But and I've worked with a lot of people in the holistic industries, and what helps them the most is to understand that the commercial is not to try to tell people your modalities and everything you do. The commercial is simply to say what you do, what your profession is, and who's a good introduction for you. Who's a good referral. And the best referrals are other people who are selling to the same people you are. So the massage therapist shouldn't ask for people in pain, because we all know that's that's who they want to meet. The massage therapist should ask to meet a chiropractor they can partner with. Or now I've forgotten what you call the needles.
Acupuncture.
Yes, or an acupuncturist they can partner with.
Right, people that are who are like-minded.
Or physical therapists they can partner
medical,
with. Right, exactly.
Complementary medical professions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Or if you're a massage therapist, you should ask to meet personal trainers.
Right.
Whose colleagues and clients need massage.
That's good information. I hope somebody's listening to right now. And they're like,
that's a big takeaway for the folks that are listening. If you take nothing else away, ask for people that you can partner with.
Right, building teams. It's interesting. In my book, I talk about building teams. Like when you're looking for ways to find healing for yourself, build your own team. Right. Imagine that you're the person that goes into. I'm going to use the hospital as an example, but it's not necessarily only medical things. We all need to find our own team, build our own team for our health, whether that's, counselors or acupuncture, complementary medical things, doctors, whatever it is, nutritionists, all of it, friends, and the same way with the business. So I like that because that's a great point that often when people are in the complementary medical fields, they are often looking for the client or patient rather than who is going to be the best person to team up with.
Yeah, and send me more than patients every month.
Yes, because if I'm going to a massage therapist, the chances are I'm going to also be interested in chiropractic and acupuncture and all of those things. Right. I like it. Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful.
Thanks.
Wow. So, Jeff, this is sadly our time is very limited here today. I mean, it's been awesome to meet of many people, and you are one of them that's been so interesting to me. I could sit and listen to your stories forever because I mean, what a life you've had, right from the film industry to just all the things that you're doing. It's
Thanks.
incredible. It's exciting, and it really speaks to finding a way to make your own path and just get to where you want to be ultimately, and just not giving up, because
And
I'm sure
trust
the
yeah, I trust the universe.
beautiful.
That's big for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'm already, my mind is spinning around thinking I can't wait to go and check out all the stuff that you have to offer, and I'm sure that many of our listeners will as well. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you very much.
You're
And
welcome, Allie. Thank you.
thanks. And this is Allie from Find Your Joy, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.